To IBIS Weather. This is Sarah. This is the update for September 24th, 2025, and we have quite a lot to go over for this evening. So let's go ahead and get started. This is the National Hurricane Center's website and their map. As you can see, Hurricane Gabrielle is tracking her way east towards the Azores, which is now under a hurricane warning, which we'll touch on in a moment. We now also have Tropical Storm Humberto finally has formed. This was Invest 93L. This is now Tropical Storm Umberto. And we still have Invest 94L as well that we are tracking that will likely become something by this weekend, if not early next week. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's first go ahead and talk about Gabrielle over here. So currently she's moving due east at 28 miles per hour. So she is definitely moving faster than typical. This is her cone, so there's a lot of good agreement of where she'll go. She will continue to keep her tropical characteristics surprisingly by early Friday morning, and will lose that by Friday afternoon. You can see again she is still a lopsided storm, meaning she's not, completely spherical with her wind field. The orange again indicates her tropical storm force winds, how far out they come out from the center, and then the orange, deep orange, is her hurricane force winds. She's currently got max sustained winds of 100 miles per hour, so she is a Cat 2 at the moment. And then she will continue to move a little bit northeast, and she will go ahead and impact the Azores, and then leave them by Friday afternoon, where she'll lose her tropical characteristics and become a post tropical cyclone, and then will weaken into a storm, and then get closer over there to Europe, as possibly as a depression by early next week. Key messages for Hurricane Gabrielle. Obviously, she's forecast to approach the Azores. They are one of them. The middle island is in the center or the cone, center of the cone, meaning her center and I might track over you guys. So you do have a hurricane warning in effect. For all of the islands there, hurricane conditions will start tomorrow night until Friday. Significant hurricane force winds are likely across the islands, even after the center moves offshore away from you guys. Continuation of dangerous storm surge is expected and coastal flooding because of the onshore winds in the Azores. And of course, that means large and destructive waves and, of course, currents, so no one should be out there in the ocean currently in the Azores. And then swells generated will continue to affect Bermuda for the next couple of days and parts of the East Coast, North Carolina onward, and into the Atlantic Canada. So make sure you follow any of your local weather guidance on that. Okay, let's go back now to obviously not talking about Hurricane Gabrielle anymore. We're going to move on to Umberto and Invest 94L, which will likely become a Melda if it does actually reach the tropical storm stage or hurricane. So there's a lot of hype and talk going on where right now in the internet about, two hurricanes, kind of going on the same path. What's going to happen? Well, first of all, neither are hurricanes. We do have one fully developed storm, so we'll kind of get a better idea of where this thing might go. And then, of course, we'll wait and see how long it takes for potential Melda Invest 94L to develop. But basically, what will happen if those two do end up converging closer together would be the Fujiwara effect. So basically, instead of it just basically becoming conjoined twin hurricanes into one giant hurricane, it would either they will rotate around each other. So what would happen if we look at this current map? Um, what would be Imelda is a little bit to the west, might be a little bit north. So whoever is, north and all that, they would kind of spin around each other. So one would go off, that way, and one would probably go closer to the U.S. coast and like the Bahamas, the Caicos, and Turks, which could happen. Or a stronger storm, which we might see. Umberto might actually absorb 94L if it gets close enough, which meaning so they're not coming one giant hurricane, it's just a bigger one basically wins the fight against the smaller storm and a weaker storm, so it would kind of suck all that energy into itself, and 94L would dissipate, and then it would just be left with Umberto. So there's no need to worry about it becoming like a giant hurricane, like a super hurricane or anything like that. That doesn't happen. They typically will kind of go around each other, um, and circle around each other, rotate around each other, kind of counterclockwise or clockwise. Um, yeah, I guess counterclockwise. So that would be the most likely case if they did get close enough together and Imelda does form. But right now, it's possible that Umberto might end up just taking over and winning the fight against 94L. So you want to let everyone know that. That's the good news. You don't have to worry about a massive giant hurricane off the coast right now. Again, kind of looks like it's kind of too early because we do have to worry about the Fujiwara effect. It's kind of early to know, which how close they might get to each other, how close to the, islands they might get, and what possible impacts is if it does become Imelda, Invest 94L does become Imelda and does not get absorbed by Umberto, that one would be probably the one to watch the most. It's got the curse, would be the cursed eye letter if it does form into that, as that is the next name on the list. And it is the one closest to land currently, which we'll get to in a little bit. Let's go ahead and look at Umberto right now. So this is a satellite view of him. He's definitely got some convection firing off. Doesn't look too impressive yet. He is just a tropical storm. So we'll kind of see how long it takes for him to kind of develop and become a better formed one and what happens. But at least one of them has formed, so we should hopefully get some better information. Uh, let's go ahead and look over here. It's moving at 15 miles per hour west northwest right now, and sustained winds of 40 miles per hour. So it's just barely like a baby tropical storm at the moment. Probably will grow stronger though as it moves west northwest, just because of the warm water and all that, and it's moving kind of the opposite direction of where Hurricane Gabrielle did. So there might not be too much upwelling. Plus, Gabrielle was a typically small hurricane when you think of things. Umberto, this is his cone of uncertainty. So again, as a reminder, center um, the cone, and then of course the hatched area is where the center of the storm might go. So not talking about impacts or anything like that. So right now Bermuda is just sitting outside of the cone, but again, if that could change, you could get into the cone. Could change direction, especially as it gets closer to Invest 94L. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that, but it's definitely something you guys should be monitoring over there in Bermuda. Again, I know you're probably being sick of one storm after another, feeling like it was threatening you guys this year. It's definitely been kind of a rough season for you thus far, but luckily you guys haven't had as bad effects as you could have. So that's good news. We'll obviously have to watch what happens with these two, but right now you guys are sitting just outside of the cone. Doesn't mean you guys won't get anything though. So again, you can see the orange color indicating how wide. So it is still a very small tropical storm at the moment. Will stay a storm until probably Saturday into Sunday afternoon was when they will reach hurricane status. And it will continue to be a hurricane as it gets closer. So we'll have to see what on that. Does look like it looks like it's going to stall a little bit. Could again be partly due to the Fujiwara effect that could happen when it gets closer to Invest 94L. So we'll have to kind of monitor that. That is sitting kind of over this area right now. So it's definitely getting closer. Obviously we're still seeing it looks like it's going to try to turn out to sea, or could even impact North Carolina or on up north. It's too early to tell right now, but it's definitely something to watch and find out what's going to happen, or it might just thread between, Bermuda and the U.S. and not hit anywhere over the center, which would be a good news, for sure. So the earliest time, reasonable time of expected of the hurricane or tropical storm force winds to be in your area would be Sunday morning for Bermuda. So that is right now the only land it's showing as something that could impact. For Umberto's ensemble model track thing, this is the Euro, so you guys can see again. It looks like it should miss. At least the sensor is expected to miss Bermuda right now. Will that change between now and then? Most certainly it will. Hopefully, though, it won't tread either too far east or too far west right now. That a lot of them do show turning around, kind of going, to the west of Bermuda and then going out to sea. So hopefully that will be the case with this one. We do see one actually making it take a southwest turn, which would be quite unusual. For the GFS, again, we see again essentially why you call it spaghetti plots is a big mess of models, but again, pretty much all of them are taken out to sea, which would be good news. Rita is somewhere there in the midst of it all, so we'll have to wait and see if that they do miss the sensor or not. We should start getting better information. I do believe they will be flying in at least into 94L today or tomorrow, so we should start getting a little bit better info. Then they're going to also do the weather balloons to start sampling the atmosphere to get a better idea. We do have a cold front that's going to be coming down onto the southeast coast on Friday. Doesn't look to be that strong of a one yet. At least where I'm locally, not going to see that much of a dramatic drop in temperatures. Of course, that might not swing down fully all the way either. That's something we'll have to continue to monitor and wait and see. But that would definitely help keep it out to sea if it does. And then for Invest 94L, which is over here, let's see. So 80% for the next 7 days, 30% for the next 48 hours. It's right now remains disorganized, so it's kind of decoupled from where the center of circulation would be and convection. Um, Continue to move west northwest around 10 to 15 miles per hour, causing heavy wind and rain in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands today across the Dominican Republic tonight. Expected to slow down and turn northwestward as it reaches the southwest Atlantic late this week. That's where conditions will be more conductive for it to form. So, obviously, anywhere from the Bahamas, Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Turks and Caicos, and even I would say the southeast coast, we need to be monitoring this and watching this closely the next few days to see what happens. So, it looks like the hurricane hunters are currently en route right now, at least at 5 o'clock. They were for it to do a survey to find out what information it can about possible track for it. And this is the current satellite of over there by Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic and Haiti, so Hispaniola Island. Um, it sort of kind of looks a little bit like a hurricane if you think about it. On satellite view, you definitely see got more heavy convection to the south of it right now, but it still has quite a bit of rain going up to the north, and you can sort of see maybe a slight spin to it currently. So we'll have to continue to monitor and wait and see. But either way, you guys will be dealing with heavy rain and wind for it as long as it sits over you guys, as it is moving, you know, at a moderate pace at the moment. For the euro, the models are kind of all over the place again because it's not, really a formed. It's just an invest right now, so it doesn't really have that close sensor circulation that it would need. Of course, models are not going to get it great. Plus, with it being in close vicinity of Umberto, that also plays an effect on what the model is going to show in terms of track and strength, which we're not looking at the strength right now. We might look at that possibly tomorrow. Um, but right now, kind of all over a mess. So kind of expected for what we have right now at this moment. I wouldn't pay too much mind. There is right now a trend of South Carolina being hit, at least on the Euro thing, if this thing does make it. So we'll have to continue to monitor that. GFS right now is not showing it going over into the US. Does show going over in Dominican Republic, um, Turks and Caicos, and part of the Bahamas, and then turning north. So again, we'll have to kind of wait and see. At this point, it is better to be, you know, in the spaghetti plots being impacted early on because typically if you're showing you're being impacted early on, you're not going to be once the storm forms it's closer to the time of it impacting you guys. If it is anywhere near the southeast, it won't be until next week, early to mid next week. So we do have a lot of time to watch it, which is good news. But it's kind of, disheartening to see it not showing anything right now, meaning that really can't say anyone's out of the picture at the moment. And this is the Euro spaghetti plots, just kind of collectively in general. So to kind of orientate you guys, this is where Gabrielle is. This is Umberto, and then this is Invest 94L. And unfortunately, a Euro does show some, again, good cluster going over the Carolinas, a few into Georgia, and then even some taking it very close to Florida. And then you don't really see any of that for Umberto, keeping it well offshore, possibly impacting Bermuda, though. Um, for the Euro Spaghetti Ensembles. For the GFS, it's a little bit better. Does show South Carolina and North Carolina getting a little bit, but definitely less development from according to the GFS 494L. Umberto keeping off to offshore and off to sea as well, keeping true to what Gabrielle, Ferdinand, and Aaron did earlier this season. So, and of course, you do see it does show something coming off the coast of Africa and possible development in the Gulf Coast, which is what we've been hinting at, and just also showing those as well. Then the key messages from the National Hurricane Center regarding for Umberto was named Umberto, so it was Invest 90 L. AL or Invest 93L and Invest 94L. Talking, it is a complex scenario because it's essentially two competing systems. If you think about it, over the next few days, because they are pretty close, this could cause them to have an interaction, aka the Fujiwara um, in fact effect on them. So we'll have to kind of see and wait and see. Right now, it's too early to know, how strong they could get, where they could track, anything like that. It could cause, kind of jerky movements between the two for them to interact together too. So right now, it's just kind of a sit and waiting, which pretty much, if you think about the whole point of hurricane season, unfortunately, does mention 94L will likely become a tropical depression by this weekend over the coast to the Bahamas. So you guys should definitely be paying attention for that. It could strengthen pretty quickly too. It's very warm waters over there, and of course the southeast coast should also monitor the progress of it. Right now, Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, and Dominican Republic are going to have heavy rain for the next few days because of it. Now it was Umberto at the time. It was Invest 93L. Uh, did become a tropical storm today, as they expected. It should pass north of the Leeward Islands and remain over the western Atlantic early next week. So that's good news. That does look like the stronger storm, and also the storm that won't likely may not impact anybody really, which would be great news. Of course, talking about NOAA and Air Force Reserve hurricane hunters are scheduled to collect data for both systems in the next few days. Of course, the additional balloon launches as well. So next day or two, we should hopefully get a better understanding, see what happens with these two. Of course, not counting any of the Fujiwara effects that might happen between the two. And then for the global tropics hazard outlook, we do see shows for next week. We can expect something to try to form off the coast of Africa, which we saw the spaghetti ensembles were kind of hinting at that. And then after that, we do expect to see something might try to develop over there in the Gulf and Yucatan. So time will tell with that as well. So again, we are saying goodbye to Gabrielle. She's way off, not impacting land. She will impact the Azores, so it's not you guys unfortunately going to have to deal with that. But she should be on her way, by the end of this week, becoming, remnants of Gabrielle, which is good news. We do have Umberto that we're now watching, and we're waiting for see what 94L ends up doing. So right now, sit, wait, and monitor, particularly with Invest 94L, and see how it interacts with Umberto. Uh, so thank you guys for listening. Please feel free to like, share, and comment, and follow me on Facebook, and I will post another update very soon.